Yeah, everyone, this is the Kubeflow Notebooks meeting for the 4th of December 2025. We have lots of things, as always, but first thing I will start with is if you don't know what Notebooks version 2 is, it is let's try and close that. It is a rewrite of Notebooks. It's going to be much more easy to use if you're a vendor. It's going to be easy to use if you're an end user. It's a complete reconceptualization of how interactive development environments, IDEs, should be run on Kubernetes going forward. Kubeflow Notebooks 1.0 was designed when Kubernetes was literally just created, and as a result, it only knew about pods. It didn't really even have the concept of controllers because it hadn't been invented yet. So it used Jupyter Lab and originally, I think Hub, sorry, originally, and then we built our own controller as that became a thing, and then eventually we now are making version 2. And if you have experience in Go, um, especially Kubernetes related stuff or React front end stuff, please reach out to Andy or myself on the Slack channel Kubeflow Notebooks and we can find you tasks. Of course, we prefer if you have time to work on it as well. So if you do, that's great. There's a design doc. You can see the work we've done. It's almost deployable end to end in a way that isn't hard for people to test. I guess maybe we won't start there, but I do want to come to the 1.11 release. I don't know if anything's changed. I don't think it will have since their last meeting, but I just want to highlight, at least on our discussions with the other leads of the Notebooks working group and a few other working groups, that at least for 1.11, assuming the community does what we discussed in the community meeting and delays till KubeCon for 1.11, then we should be able to cut a new version of Dashboard and Notebooks V1 with security fixes. We've already got a lot of security fixes, which again we'll let people talk about soon. And not security fixes, sorry, I mean like updates and things. And then we've also got the dashboard migration, which has got all the manifests in there. Um, Andy, do you have a context about this?
Yeah, unfortunately, that message because I thought there was really good discussion on the call, but then Valentina had posted a message on Slack that was basically, "Thanks for the discussion. We're going to move forward and do the release on the agreed upon timeline, and we need people to test." So I don't think
So
V
who was
1.11.
was there like a KSC vote or something?
That
That's
I
kind of a
do
level
not
of
know.
situation where I really do want the KSC to vote on it. Although that would obviously be weird considering the KSC is about to change in 10 days, but um I'd still prefer that a vote happens because I do think it's an important thing for the community, but we'll see. Anyway,
So yeah, I can give you. I'll paste this link in the chat here, but this is what Valentina had followed up with in the thread that I had started. But it basically, yeah, we are looking to move forward with Kubeflow AI reference platform 1.11 release targeted end of year, early January, which in our case, that timeline is unrealistic.
yeah. I'll chat with other working group leads about it and just see what they're if they're actually reasonably going to be able to respond to issues that are raised, even in the ridiculous case that someone somehow manages to test, let's say SDK before the end of the year. You know what I mean, right? Like or what's another component? Because obviously we can't have what ostensibly should be a manifest working, not really even meant to be a working group, but whatever, like a manifest committee or whatever, um, forcing a release of every component and forcing work for people over the holidays. Anyway, um, we'll have to see. Um, anyway, so from our perspective, my plan remains that if we end up having to cut a release, we won't cut a release for dashboard or notebooks, meaning nothing will change. There will still be lots of CVEs. And the manifests it may not even there probably won't even be new container images for the notebooks, which is probably the biggest problem. And we will work on making those, but again, they take a lot of time. They take discussions with the data science and AI communities and so many other things, sometimes vendors. Anyway, and so for dashboard, also that's not in a state where it could be released right now anyway. So it's almost ready, but let's jump to that right now. So dashboard. This is for people who don't know. I should really just link the dashboard repo at the top here. Let me just do that. Maybe like repo. I don't know. And then, okay, so that's this one. Okay. So what does anyone know the status of this one? I know that people were working on it, but I don't know if people have been touching it in the last few days.
There's no ongoing stuff going on here. I know we've discussed the manifest changes. Julius briefly responded to my v.111 thread saying that, yeah, we can, like, it was kind of like a polite brush off, right? Like, yeah, we can discuss this manifest stuff, but it doesn't need to be tied to v1.11. And that's as far as it's gotten.
But we haven't even got a release of this repo yet, even or any, you know what I mean? Like,
Correct. I just don't know, like, Komonis, again, he's great. I'm sure he has valid reasons for not being able to be engaged in community, but there's just nobody to do this.
so what? So
Um,
from our perspective, though, wait. So did we add first off? Did we add owners labels? If not, we should do that today. I don't think we did. Maybe we did. No, we didn't. Let's do that today either way. Okay.
I will, well, we have a lot we need to get through
I
today,
know
so I
we
don't, but
do,
I will
but hang
take
on.
worst case, I will get that added tomorrow. I'll put it to do for myself on that.
Yeah. And then the other one is that's not probably gonna happen. The so are we in a releasable state? This is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yes. I mean, yes, we've been in a releasable state for a month now. It's like I said, the only outstanding thing we have is this upgrade script that I don't think is going to work. We could reverse engineer just documentation
yeah,
based
let's
on
do
the
that at
upgrade.
least. Let's at least do that and start a wiki page. You know what I mean? Like, so at very least we need to because I need to know what to tell other people, right? Because no one knows what they don't
Yes.
know. And so we just need to understand what we changed, right? We obviously changed container images, but do we change anything else, right? What?
Okay. I will get a draft, a similar thing to the other deployment thing. I'll create a wiki on my fork that we can look at next week.
Yeah, and so make it a wiki on a fork, but then we'll move it onto the Kubeflow website, obviously. But
Yeah. No, absolutely. But I've just as a working copy, I'll keep it off on my fork so we can talk about it. But yeah, I'll get that churned out early next week.
so just really, it's just a bullet point list. It literally should just be a
Yes.
bullet point list. It does not need
This
to
changed, this changed,
like
this
group by
changed. Yes.
component. So like I'll write it here. Let's just say so I'm just going to interesting. Okay, we maybe I don't know if we did these renaming these labels. I'm not sure. Um,
No, we did not rename labels. It was really minimal changes.
yeah,
Well, sorry, some labels did get renamed, but it's not following the stuff that we've done with Notebooks V2, right around the app.kubernetes.io stuff.
like I'm gonna say like tasks question mark. This is getting a little bit hard to read otherwise. So we need to. Okay, so then we got first release tracking. That's fine. Add owners labels. This one here.
So I think on the finalize, if we are moving, we got, like, I don't know if we can surface this in a community call, but we really need to like sit down with Julius and get like consensus on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that I think we're gonna need to do anyway, because we were the author of most of that code anyway. Like, it's kind of,
Okay.
it's kind of, it's so complex that it's like really only the
Okay.
author of the code could realistically do it anyway. So like, and also it's kind of just a technical discussion, right? Which is we can do it with Ulysses if you want. I don't know, who knows? But
Okay. No, that's fine. So your proposed approach here would be let's do the
let's make a
work in the Kubeflow
proposal.
dashboard repo. Or, I mean, propose it. We could get a PR queued up in Kubeflow dashboard, and then when we feel good about that, then rip it out
Also, I want to
of
highlight just one
manifest.
other thing as well, which is there is so that's a separate one actually. There is a couple like most notably there is like network policies. There might be others.
And the policies is a weird one because that spans beyond dashboard, right? There are network policies for every component
But
in
they could
manifest.
all live
Yeah.
in dashboard, is what I'm saying. I argue that they could all live in dashboard. Like that's similar, but again, it's related to this. Anyway, we should keep moving on. Okay, so owners files, we should cut a release. So is there any pending PRs? I just want to highlight this now. Let's just quickly confirm. So that are not dependable ones, I guess. Okay, migration.
Off
Okay,
the
that's the
plan
other
that
task.
Kimonis came up with, it's just that 162, which, like I said, I'm not clear
Okay, yeah, we
we
need to
really want to move
create
forward with.
a breaking changes guide for dashboard controller etc v1 to v2 migration. Obviously, this will well, end up on Kubeflow website 2.0 release outside from new dashboard repo. Okay, so this will eventually end up. So I want to highlight this one as like yellow. Okay, and then say Kimonos made a script version, but this is probably unsafe and should be a doc instead. Okay, and so event on the website, but can start as a wiki page on the repo. Okay. We should actually, yeah, we need to make sure we make that move. It's just, I don't want it to get on the website until it's actually correct.
Right.
Okay. I don't feel like Markdown pull requests in the website are a great place to discuss those things. Okay, so okay, so after the introduction release, this is definitely something. I guess we'll just move this one into. We do need to do this before the release, which is this. We need to that. Um, okay, and then I'm gonna say sync the manifests from the new repo into the manifest repo and delete other old ones. You know what I mean? This definitely needs to happen. Okay. So anything else? Cut dashboard on a 2.0 release branch, or how are we gonna do it? What's our naming structure again?
It's the same name. We just kept the same naming structures we had been, so it's whatever the V.
I think that was for notebooks though. I don't think we ever actually decided because dashboard's a fully new project to some extent. So, but like we probably should just do the same though. But I'm just
Yeah, it's the way it's set up right
we
now
actually
is
have
to
to check
just
that.
do the same.
Let me just sorry, we have to check Kubeflow. It should start with a V because then you can protect them. But
Yes.
it's V that. Okay, sorry for everyone else who had to witness this. This is just us. We need to figure this out. Okay, so let's try and move forward on. I guess these two are the most critical. Um, okay. Any other comments about dashboard stuff? Obviously there is lots of other components in here that are all versioned now as two, right? There'll be KFM, central dashboard. Well, this one, who knows? But central dashboard old, pod defaults, and profile controller. So they're all going to be versioned as two because effectively we're versioning the deployment as two almost. You know what I mean? The actual internal apps themselves don't really have independent versions, and maybe they should, but they don't. So, well, they do because these are controllers. Two of them are controllers, so they have versions. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, any other comments? Going once, going twice. Okay. Okay, so let's keep going. Notebooks 1.0. Okay, so the same goal here is to release a 1.11 though, because we obviously are using Notebooks 2.0 as Notebooks 2.0. And there's no breaking change from a customer perspective here, other than the container image, but that's fine.
So, sorry, not to complicate this, but since we've already kind of discussed, or the tea leaves say that we're not going to participate in 1.11, would this actually end up then
This
being
is
a
our
1.12?
1.11. No, this is so what I'm saying is
Okay.
this has always been the confusion because we used to be we were the only component that was releasing out of the Kubeflow repo. Well, there was many years of history where it's complicated. So there's one other question actually that I do need to we need to put on the list here maybe, which is what to do about this. And this is more of a community question. Um, so like this is picked up by Google, you know what I mean? So like so I already or always was putting this is on Kubeflow just for people. So this is a good community discussion in this call. Like I obviously used to always create a release here. I probably should continue to do so, if what I'm saying. But this also legitimizes the concept of Kubeflow platform having a version, in some sense, right? So it's just there's an interesting statement here. Um, it's like this release was cut for that, in the same way that this sometimes they don't align. See, there's no guarantee.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Like so, and it's very like particular about the but and this is why at some point I think I proposed just breaking the version number intentionally so that it was really different. You know what I mean? A couple of times, like jumping to 115 or something, just so that it was obvious. But the the thing is we're just going to end up having a lot of people not know. I think because of this. You know what I mean? That's just my only worry. Um, I what we might need to do is edit the release here. Oh, maybe we should have a word which maybe we should cut a release with a name like with a uh something that doesn't there's not a version that says something in it. You know what I mean? Like release like releases like are now per component. You know what I mean? Like this like I'll just put it here as a note. Okay, we should discuss it next time. Uh, we should cut a release of the Kubeflow repo called something like uh
Well, I
C.
mean, I kind of like your oh, okay, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I was gonna say even if we just maybe switch Kubeflow to go the date string release like you were talking about in other contexts, just to like at least then like there's no
But there's no versioning of this repo. Like it's just the only reason
yeah.
this is like an end of this one. It's more like I want this to be so that just so that people who are looking at it don't get confused. That's like because this repo is obviously very big from a historical perspective. So like it's see other repos um 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 and as the end of the description. Sorry for this logistical stuff, guys. The description we probably shouldn't be doing this on the call. Should point to each of the component repos. Okay, let me just do this here. Perfect. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Okay, so in this vein, 1.11, which is just the next version of Kubeflow Notebooks 1.0, maybe even the final version. Um, what is the status? I know that people were working on it last week. We merged a bunch of PRs with some people, so anyone want to talk about it?
Okay. Um, so there are no new things, only that all the PRs are ready after Andy's review. Thank you, Andy. So I think Andy will try to merge it with you today. The plan is to start the CVs on Sunday, to split the work with the team and to start it on Sunday.
Okay. So I guess the question is we should evaluate what the state of it is after we merge all these, and then uh
Mhm.
make a decision as to what point at which we'll just cut a 1.11, I guess. Also, what is your plan other than that? So what are the ones that are pending? So for people's context, we updated all of the with the exception of the front end, the core package versions, and I guess the TensorBoard as well. The core package versions of things. Did we so which are you sure this one's ready for merging? This other one, node one?
Sorry, the example notebook
Oh,
server
that's
one,
example
right? We
notebook.
ended up holding to say that we'll just you're probably going to big bang that at some point
Yeah, yeah,
versus
yeah, yeah.
incrementally because the testing requirements are just so intense there. A bunch of small incremental PRs would just drown us in
It's also
testing
just
and
like a vibe
verification.
check. It's also like you have to be a bit of a data scientist to actually check some of them, unfortunately. And also you have to have access
Yeah.
to GPUs. You also have access, you also actually have to have access to GPUs. So, which could be a challenge for some community members. Um,
Mm.
Okay, so that's good. So
I
from
will close the SPRs.
you're gonna close it? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Just say the
Yeah,
reason you close it though. Don't say that we're not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, sure, sure.
Good idea. Okay. Okay, and then so any comments here about this? So what's our next step? So we got let's put it in here. Code changes, we've done all this.
So yeah, I'm hoping, Matthew, we have like four PRs that I've reviewed that we can probably merge today, and I think that is all the core updates to things. We'll talk about that
And
on
so
the
yeah, I
call.
think the goal still remains that we cut an alpha potentially before we do those images. And so I think as soon we need to be careful though because the 1.11 looks like the release version for the manifest, and you know what I mean? Like I'm a little bit
Right.
hesitant to let them do it. The problem is because we're not following the goddamn release handbook. Like there's meant to be a release freeze point where it's obvious that you can't sync new versions. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay. Um, Yeah, so we need to talk about the release thing. We do need to make a test of this. I think we're all confident that it does work, but because we merged a bunch, well, we're going to have merged a bunch of really core changes. Even before we start fixing CVEs, I just want to confirm that other things haven't broken. You know what I mean? Like this, so I think we should. I think whether or not we need to be communicating it carefully, we should do a silent kind of release here with an alpha so that we can start testing it. Just to confirm it still kind of works on EKS, GKE, AKS, like just normal kind of production deployments. Um, in the real world, you know? I think probably. Um, I don't think it should have broken anything, but because we did change Kubernetes versions, and for example, one of the PRs we nearly merged one that was not, which is a very old version of Kubernetes because people were kind of messed up the pip things. We caught it, but like the back end parts of the front end weren't on the right version of Kubernetes, for example. So anyway, like when we fixed it, I'm just saying like if we wouldn't have caught that because the build succeeded, but it would have potentially failed in the real world on a really new like 134 cluster. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of more what I was getting at. Okay, so let's any other comments that you have or Andy or anyone else? So let's try and cut this as soon as we've merged those other ones effectively. You know what I mean? Like if whether we do that today or over the weekend, who knows? But the um and then we can in the next meeting be talking about uh because I'm the only thing I'm concerned about is that we may not have capacity to fix issues if they bring this into the manifest and think it's 1.11. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's my I don't want them to try and force work upon us like that. Um over the holidays because it's cheap to sync the manifest, but actually, if there's an issue, it's going to cost us cycles that we also have a holiday period. So, okay, of course, I encourage people to actually do stuff over the holidays mainly just because it's time, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's keep on going. The ML experience working group also was complaining about things, but I think who knows if what we got there, but including the SDK or not. But okay, moving on. Thank you, Leah. Okay, Notebooks 2.0. I think these are not the current ones, right? Or are they?
Um,
What is that from this weird top thing?
yeah, we can just remove, sorry, we can remove those. We can
Are any
remove
of them
those
needed
now.
to be tracked at all?
No, they're all handled in various raised PRs now.
Okay, cool. So I think I do want to come back to this is the proposal I have for we should be like as part of the next priority, part of priority one after we have the release of everything going. I don't know where we should store this. I guess tables are really messy on wikis and stuff. So I'm open to proposals. Of course, it should eventually be on the website. So maybe it needs to just be a something that we can dynamically generate for the website. You know what I mean? Like something that is like a structure of folders. You know what I mean? And then I can because the website's actually very advanced. It can do it can do pretty crazy things. So like pulling Git files and stuff. So to generate pages and tables potentially. So um maybe it shouldn't be a table. I don't know, but the point is, I want an overview for people about what features are at what maturity level because as we progress, we could do this in like a yeah, I don't know. Anyone does like we could do it in like a mirror board even. Like you know what I mean? It's kind of what uh and so effectively the idea here is that actually this has to be in the repo, I guess. This kind of does have to be in the repo to some extent, right? Because it will change with each tech. Well, no, but then what if it comes out of sync with the commit that's currently there? You know what I mean? Hmm. So effectively the idea here is that we should agree on this definition of alpha and beta and uh uh, sorry, the level of feature, like alpha, beta, GA, and then treat each component and feature of Notebooks 2.0 as having that rather than just the overall thing, right, effectively. So because as we cut a alpha release, people are going to think of it as it's alpha for everything, but like potentially it's not even, well, alpha is the minimum, I guess. But if we say beta, you know what I mean? Then it's like they're going to think, oh, it's ready to try. But no, it might be like the workspace creation is all beta, but the admin stuff is not. Like I think that's very likely, in fact. So okay, like for example, I just want to give one example that I think people should have context, which is that since we're going to very, very intentionally say you should not manage your workspaces or workspace kinds with GitOps, it just isn't feasible, like for reasons that are it's too dependent on the state of your cluster. We block you from updating things when they're being used and things like that. And also, it's just really large amounts of YAML. And effectively, people are going to say, "Oh, I want to GitOps them," but then they're going to look at the YAML and be like, "Oh, I can't. How you want me to write this? You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Or like even a Helm chart would be crazy." And so as a result, we're going to try and build APIs that you should think of it more as a database, right? You don't use GitOps to manage the contents of your database, right? Like you might change the structure of your database with GitOps, but not the contents. And so first release will be you have to manage the YAML as YAML, unfortunately, rather than being able to have a nice edit flow. And I know people are working on the workspace kind thing, but I'm saying that I don't want to block the release of the workspace usage in exchange for the admin editing being finalized. If anyone disagrees, that's fine. But we can talk about it. But any comments about that?
I think that's all sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and so now in this sense, then we now need a place that the community can be made aware of this and knows to go, and we link at the bottom in a warning pop up on the UI saying various parts of this project. This is a pre GA product for per component. So like we should pay this. I'm gonna say at the bottom, like we should put a warning banner in the notebooks 2.0, which says something like this is, I guess maybe say warning, this is a pre-GA product. Uh, uh, for uh, see link for per feature maturity levels. You know what I mean, for current. And we should obviously link. And I'm going to say this link should be versioned so that the currently deployed uh, uh, version is uh, currently that the information linked to is for the currently deployed version. This is kind of what I'm trying to say. Okay. Okay. Anyone disagree with having that? I know it's going to be ugly, but I think it's important uh to do. Okay. Priority one then. Okay, anything else about these things? Anyone got any ideas of where we could put this? We'll just leave it sitting for now, I think, but
Like in my like I think in repo is fine, but then also like I just feel like if we're going to be publishing releases, wouldn't we just like put that blurb on each package like as a release note?
you mean in the release notes of the release?
Yes,
Yeah,
like
that's
in
probably
GitHub.
yeah, so Also, I have built for other projects scraper tools to pull information out of here and load them into Markdown files. So honestly, that's not a bad idea. Um,
Yeah, like if we just treat it as like a YAML file that we can easily maintain to keep up to date, that gets slurped into like format more pretty,
so I've
or
done some
something.
pretty crazy stuff to do it. So this actually comes back to something we should discuss. It isn't going to work pre-release, but GitHub and I think we should probably talk about it more as a community as well. But GitHub has the ability to generate release notes. And so what it does is there's a YAML file config under .github that will change what it means. And so this is very similar to what it creates here, right? So I don't know if it's possible that I generated them, but you see it like generate release notes. But what it does is it does generate it in a consistent format based off the YAML file, but it bases it off the pull requests, the commits that correspond to pull request. It doesn't do any naked commits, which we don't do, which is fine. But it assumes that these pull requests have good descriptions, obviously, but also it assumes that the pull requests have any meaning to the end user, right? Like in the pre-release phase, they don't, right? They're not features, they're not bugs, they're just kind of crazy stuff, and end user information is not that. They also the way that they get grouped into the sections is based off labels, not off their name. You know what I mean? So effectively, it's a waterfall kind of situation where you have an array of matchers on labels, and they say, if it has significant change, go into the first section. If it has, if well, significant changes in this context is something I've written. But like if we do that, we could have a consistent structure, or we could go generating release notes automatically is really good, but it requires a lot of maturity for the project and discipline for labels and things like that, And so, but if we do that, then we can automatically generate it. Although it would still need us to make the table manually in here, you know what I mean? Like that if we did the thing we just talked about. Okay, well, let's move on. I don't want to waste any more time on this. Priority one, keep thinking about it. We need to do it at some point. Front end people, feel free to suggest. You can also put it in the product if you would like, but I would like to be able to update it. So, if it turns out to be wrong, on the release. Or actually, let's have that debate right now. Front end people, would you prefer that we just embed this information as a hidden page in the product?
So I don't understand what you mean as embed as hidden page. Are
Like
you
when
still your cursor's on?
there'll
Okay,
be a
yeah, sorry.
would there
This
be a banner and then it takes you into the product rather than linking to an external source? I think the danger with that is that it doesn't allow us to put a big warning on the target page, which says, "Hey, this is not the latest version." Although if we have a versioned link here, then we can't make a change if it's a tag link anyway. So if it was a website, then maybe.
I think just linking out is enough there. Um,
Yeah, okay. Let's keep going. Priority one. So uh deploying specific commit, we have mostly done this, but we just haven't finished the doc. We got a bit sidetracked on doing something that's helpful for developers a bit more, which was the tilt, which is, I think, is how close is that to being ready, Andy?
I have so tilt stuff I have not focused on. I still just need to do those containerizing of front end, but the wiki page I have the customize localize, like I updated the wiki
Ah, nice.
page. I have an EDE baseline that then follows that conceptually. Obviously, it's not referring to packages like the wiki does, but I do have all those changes in ready for review.
Does it use the new make targets?
The new make
Or are those make
targets.
targets only in the tilt PR? Like, what's the
No,
PR?
no, so yeah, I think so. Like this is where like I have this on my updates, right? It's like I have all these different PRs that are interrelated, so we just have to start like merging stuff to rebase. I think those new make targets are in the tilt PR. Yes.
we might want to factor those out then. I don't know. Like, and then it's a debate, right? Whether we want to depend on those, probably, I don't know. Like, it's a debate. That's just because I do want to have the user understand what they're doing so that they can build it into their own scripts rather than using the make maybe. But then what if the way we do it is invoking make more of an API? Maybe, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I was getting at, right? Um, okay, we'll debate about that. So in terms of getting this done, effectively the goal is to be able to deploy it and then end-to-end tests. I think we did start end-to-end tests, right? I don't know if that PR was ready for you. I never actually reviewed it yet.
Well, so it's kind of similar to what we did with the Istio EDE stuff, Matthew. I have like all the code there, but then when it actually all the scaffolding to set up the prereqs, but then like the final step, I just print out in the GitHub action to do wire in actual tests, right? So it's like this is the foundation to get stuff set up, but then it doesn't actually call anything yet.
I think that's the
So
one that added the make targets, by the way. I think that's actually the one that added the make targets.
it's quite possible. I know I've added them in APR. I forget which one it is, but so that one again, we need to. And I know Guillerme's done some good work on Cypress tests just for UI integration. But I think if we can get this foundational one in, then it gets a lot easier for people to start to like plug in newer things.
Okay, and then so I guess what's the update here? Like what's the top priority on this one? The top priority is I guess getting this wiki out then.
Just
Let's
getting this
get
stuff
that.
merged,
I
right? And
want to
then
get
the
that
other
out.
thing
Yeah, I
that's
really want to get that wiki out. That should be our top one, right? We
the
have to do
thing
it.
that's tangentially related to all this though is another PR I have open to refactor the controller customized stuff because
Oh, so
those
we do need to do
paths
that.
and
Sorry, so we do need to get
overlays
that. Okay, so that's
refer
good.
to
Let's
all
put that
these
there.
other things.
Okay, yeah. So let's put that as not next priority. Then that has to happen before. That has to happen before.
Right. Because that will, I mean, they're trivial updates, but that will change all of these other things that build on top of that.
Yeah. So that's good. We've got the solution then. Uh, I'm gonna say this under next priority. Technically, that's kind of not really a task. Um. Okay. Cool. Sorry for going off on that for other people. So let's try and get that merged. Like this PR is almost ready, and then let's get that wiki done as soon as damn possible, so that when we're saying to people in other meetings, you can try it out, you can actually do that. Um, there is a debate as to whether we should have this here already in this. You know what I mean, like this. I guess I'll just no, it's fine because this is not going to be for end users. It should be. We should not promote using the app by non-devs until the warning banner for component maturity info is added to front.
And the wiki page we have has multiple kind of tooltip comments of like not ready for production use, not, you know what I mean? So I think the wiki page itself is good to move over once we're done with it because it very repeatedly cautions people this is like, kind of early access to play around.
So I think I just realized what we should do for this, by the way. We should have um a table which is not versioned, but which is each feature is a row, and then each column is a version of Kubeflow Notebooks 2.0 that one went to a specific stage. You know what I mean? Like effectively, like so this like effectively this should be a like we could structure this table with rows for each critical feature uh, and columns for the maturity level um and like four columns for the maturity level and notes in each cell explaining when what is happening for that one that feature mature getting to that maturity level. I don't know. With this, it can be. I think that's probably the. Of course, doing that requires us formatting stuff cleanly, but uh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That means we can. What I'm saying is we can do this pretty easily now. Is what I'm saying. So like, I'd say we do want to. I guess how how hard is it for the front end people to add a basic banner warning banner at the? I'd say the bottom maybe with just a link to a wiki page. Because
Paul or Jenny, do you have any concerns or issues in us getting that in?
it needs to sit
Eh,
outside the page to some extent.
It should be easy, as long as we have the design done, it should be easy to implement the banner.
It's like, how should we do it visually? Like, it just needs to be not affecting, we need to be able to delete it once it's not the case anymore, you know what I mean? Or,
I feel like appearing at the bottom runs into less potential issues.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say the same. I think it makes sense to at least have it on the top as like a visual hierarchy thing. I think that would make the most sense and that would follow patterns that we see in MUI and Patternfly as well.
you mean top as in outside of the page, or?
Um, I guess it's hard. I don't have the full context, I guess, for how this might look.
I'm just
I,
thinking of it like as something that also affects screenshots, right? So that it's like so that it comes as a free warning for any screenshots people take as well. But well, assuming they don't screenshot a small section of the page. But the what I'm thinking is just literally a like think of it as like a one like a little a one line with a little bit of padding colored red or orange or yellow or something. Uh so that it's on the bottom of every page that says just a bit of text with a link.
Yeah, I guess like the main like concern that I have here, and again, not a front end engineer, we just want to make sure whether we're running in standalone or embedded within central dashboard. You know what I mean? I just worry like because that like iframing it out, we just need to make sure it works on the different ways that we can deploy it. Or I guess if we actually standalone, we probably don't care as much, right? As long as it's skinned and looks nicely within like an actual central dashboard deployment, that's probably what we're most interested in. If you're deploying in standalone, no one's realistically probably going to do that in the short term. But
So yeah, also I think we should make the link not actually a hard-coded link to GitHub. We should make it a link that we can update in the future. Um, just like a GitHub, like a Kubeflow.org slash notebooks update info. I don't know, right? You know what I mean? Like, and then in the future we can redirect it to the release page, the release blog for Notebooks 2.0. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay. And then but so we can link it to release blog of for 2.0 eventually. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I guess the question is, are we going to add that banner before we do this? I think it's probably we can. We'll debate it later. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's. PF supports lower banner. What is PF? Oh, Patternfly.
yes, yeah, yeah. So I can just corroborate. So if we do want to put that on the bottom, it looks like we do have the option to do that through
Can
Patternfly.
we like It shouldn't be that hard, right? Anyway, we'll talk about that after. But okay, cool. Let's move on. We're getting close to time. So, okay, Purdy, want anything else there? About. Oh, this is actually interesting as well. Updating it to use the new dashboard. That's fine though. Okay, migrate this one. That's fine. Okay, Purdy 2. Okay, so I know we were doing a lot of stuff here. Sorry for wasting all this other time. We got to it. We should maybe start with 2.0 in the future. Okay, and then who is working on this stuff? So this is integrating with the new secrets API, for example. I know, and also the volumes I know we talked about, but we really haven't spec'd out that API yet. And so it was probably a little bit misguided to ask anyone to work on it until that API was ready. I think it really set people off in the wrong direction. Okay. It's good to, yeah, it's good for people learning experience, I guess, but yeah, maybe we should probably avoid that in the future so that the front end people don't have to try and understand Kubernetes problems. Okay, so anyone got any updates? So the goal here is to make it so that the front end is using generated Swagger. I think we're pretty much already done that. That's done, right?
yes.
Okay. Uh, that is also true.
Yes.
So I want to add one more outcome as well, which is that if the backend has a field either post or either in post body or get body, I get return body.
I would just say either in request or response schema, right? Because there's
Yeah, I
puts
get
as
that.
well.
Yeah,
So Yeah.
request. Oh yeah, you're right. There's delete and other stuff. Response bodies. The front end must use it somewhere, even if it's so effectively what I'm trying to say here is like this is so that because this is a sanity check effectively. What I'm saying is no, this is a sanity check because uh we should not be adding things to the back end that the front end does not use because it will result in them not being tested. You know what I mean? Like this is
In principle, I absolutely agree with this. I think the volumes storage API spec will test
that's
this
what I'm
a
saying
little
though.
bit.
That's what I'm saying. Like that this is why I'm like we're about to do one where it's like every piece of information returned needs to be at least consumed somewhere. Like that is and otherwise we will not return that information. Is kind of what I'm saying, right? And like we don't add back in information for no reason. That's kind of and it's just a policy thing where it's like otherwise it lets us do things like, oh, we'll use that in the future. It's like, no, no, no. We'll use it now in a tooltip if we have to. Like even if it's just unpacking uh the extra info to a tooltip pop-up. You know what I mean? Like it's just this we had this discussion last time, but it's like it really does need to be the case because it's otherwise we're going to forget about things and because then
And I
you
know Charles is not on the call, but he did take that to heart and did update his secrets API proposals. And it did for the short term where some of this stuff is more kind of for future stuff. It's just in a tooltip right now, so it is there.
because the goal, again, I want to highlight the other reason for this is that the users can then hold us to account to saying, hey, I would prefer that information be sent to me in a different way. You know what I mean? Like that's, or because the user definitely has no idea what the backend is capable of doing. But but if they're throwing information about stuff, then they can make requests and PRs and issues, you know. Okay, cool. Yep. Any other comments about this? So what is our status here? Like I know we're
So yeah, so I'll rip through these real quick. Logos and icons, that PR is ready for the back end PR is ready for review. I know Charles had written up a front end issue. It just hasn't been picked up yet. That front end issue was really just around kind of the, using intelligent caching on the front end beyond just kind of browser caching for these assets. But the back end PR is ready and it already works
so it's a full
with
PR.
front end code.
It's not
Yeah,
a it's
not a
not
stub. It's
right.
just
Amazing.
everything. Create update volumes. Like I said, we're working on the API. We'll talk about that more next Tuesday to start to lock in on that a little bit better. Create update secret. Jenny and Charles are doing some good work on the front end there. We really just want to get the main holdup there is getting the secret API stub merged so we can start to merge some of that front end
What's
stuff,
blocking
right?
that?
Because even that, what's that?
What's blocking the merging of the stuff?
We had initially reviewed it a couple weeks ago. You had pointed out that you'd rather the mocking logic be in the repository,
Oh
which
yeah.
is very fair. So I made those changes. So now it's just ready for re-review. It should be good. But Charles has been using the latest form of that PR. So the backend stub should be good to go. Create workspace is kind of tangential to all of this stuff like this, that's kind of where these other items will kind of feed into that. So they've been working on the create workspace wizard in conjunction with the secret stuff. Update workspace. I do have a draft PR, a stub PR that Guilherme has started to look at just like this week. So he's just kind of getting ramped up and asking the right questions on that. The update workspace PR is a little bit weird because the secret stub defines the common audit object that, I want to get the secret stub API merged so then I can have these common, audit model objects applied in update workspace. But other than that, it's good enough. I do not have any mocking there yet, but it does just kind of like return stuff and augment data. But like faking out error flows and conflicts, I'm not doing right now.
These,
So to like
these ones
and
are.
then logs and events were not.
So
We
what's the
haven't
process
done
of
any.
getting this one? So it sounds like obviously we need to get the secret one merged, but then this one I really, really want to get merged. Like this one is like this.
Right. So I think here it's, Guilherme's starting to look at this. It's for him to kick the tires to see, does this work for the front end? Right. So it's like, yes. So I anticipate Guillerme's very good. So I would imagine by next week we'll have a good handle on, do we think this stub is good enough, or do we need to talk about API changes for reasons X, Y, or Z?
Okay, and also yeah, as a same way, this is like you must consume everything in it. Like this is like so it doesn't.
Yes. Luckily, there's not a whole lot of fields in the workspace update PR. Workspace kind will get a lot more fun out of that, but yes.
Yeah, cool. Any other comments about these things? Like these are just context information. So again, the goal here is to get to the point where users can actually create, use, update the workspace section of the UI, not the workspace kind section. Okay. Yep. Guillermo, anyone want to say anything here? We're at 9 a.m., so let's keep moving. I'll go for another 10 minutes on this. I don't. People are welcome to drop, of course. So anyone else have anything they need to say before they drop, if they are needing to drop now? So if people were working on things like Jenny, I'll let you. Do you want to sometimes? No.
Sure thing. Yep. Just yeah, kind of what Andy was saying. I've been working with Charles on the create secrets modal functionality, just adding more UI features. So that includes the create secrets modal, and then responding to some feedback from designers on how to improve that. And then yeah, that's it for me.
And Liav, you had to drop. Anything you want to say? If not, that's fine too.
If he's in, I think he spoke to this earlier, right? Getting these V1 programming language things merged, and he's going to start to roll out the CVE security work and get a plan and start to farm that stuff out as well. If vulnerabilities need patched, right? There's that whole thing of like we could just say that this isn't a valid, vulnerability for reasons X, Y, or Z, but updating stuff where we need to update.
Yep. Okay.
And I did say, Matthew, that the CVE stuff is obviously more important, but I told Leah before I go on holiday this year, I will get a write-up for him and drop some notes around some of the Notebooks V2 GitHub workflow enhancements that we did, if and as people free up from CVE work, just to get those workflows updated, because it's just better and faster. It's not a priority. We don't need it for a release. But if we can get those in, it just is better and faster code. Obviously not for like Python, but Node and Go languages, and just making the building of images a lot easier to centrally manage. There's a lot of benefits we could have just to make this code, as it's going into maintenance mode, easier to forget about, because it consolidates a lot of this logic.
Yes, that is. I mean, building of images and stuff. Yeah, we should do that as well. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, not container images. I assume you mean like because that.
Correct. Yeah.
Sorry, I mean example notebook servers. I don't mean you don't
Right.
mean
No. Yeah, this is for like the core notebooks V1 stuff.
Yeah, we
Like
should
I
just
said,
use the
not
same, literally the same code as the,
yes.
and the specific reason is so that we can be compliant with the CNCF's request for attestations and things like that. So like I'll
So
put
yeah, so we will look to
okay.
get that queued up. That will take
Like
a backseat to
working
CVE, but yeah.
on using it is technically a CVE, but it's like using the it's a security request. I don't know the maturity. I don't know. Using the same Docker image build flows from 2.0 in the 1.0.
But I just like dropped that on Leov like right before this call started, so he hasn't really had a lot. Like I'll give him a write up and then we'll talk about it. So yeah.
I'll put this actually up here as well. This actually needs to be kept track of.
Did you ever hear back from the subdomain isolation people?
Uh, I'd have to follow up check. I don't know. I think we told them some ideas, but we probably need
Yeah,
to.
they were going to look to like upstream some fixes, or yeah, I don't know
We
where
need
that
to.
ever
I think
went.
it's more complicated than they realized. It's fine. We have to go look back at the recording. Or not recording. We just have to look back at the notes. Okay. Walk through the existing CVEs for 1.0 and evaluate if they need to be fixed, mitigated. Backport the Docker image build GHA workflow pattern from 2.0. This is to benefit from when 2.0 eventually does attestation, etc. Okay. Okay. code scanning page of GitHub will be authoritative source for if
Yes.
issues are accepted uh, or just disclosed, accept or rejected, accepted or just disclosed. Okay, move on. Okay, and then sorry, anyone else have anything they were adding to notes here? Uh, okay. Anyone else I missed? Fuller, maybe?
Yeah, so I only did some PR reviews this week for the community and still working on some internal Red Hat stuff.
Which peer reviews are you working on? Like what part?
Yeah, I reviewed the Cypress PR from Guilherme that added some tests to the repository and also the workspace kind pagination.
I'm doing this quickly add those notes. Okay, and then Andy,
Yeah,
I
I
see.
can add. Yeah.
Like I said, I've been doing a lot of Red Hat stuff internally. So other than like notebooks V1 reviews, and then I just have a bunch of like outstanding PRs that we can grind through. And then just a note, I will be working on and off over the holidays, but December 12th is like my like Red Hat PTO period starting. Other than like Christmas week, I still plan on like calling into this and hopefully can like knock out some changes. But yeah, that's the
Yeah, so my time zone is going to be slightly different over a 3 week period starting from the 15th. So, oh, 20th, I think. I don't know when it was. 20th, I think. So, that could be a problem, but we will see.
okay.
I'd have to remember. I think this is incredibly early where I'm going to be. So, like middle of the morning kind of time. So I might not be able to do it at this time. So, you're welcome to have the meeting, I guess, but it's just one of those. It might need to be in the afternoon. Oh, but then it's worse for you because you're east. It's really almost impossible. Okay, okay. We'll have to
We
see.
can, we can talk about that in Slack and figure. Like I said, I'm more than happy if it's not a community call. Let me know and we can work something out. Where if we just want to do reviews or design discussions, I can contort my schedule. Easy enough to make that happen. So
Cool. Okay. Anyone else got anything they need to raise before we stop recording? Right now, we'll just go into a pull request review thing probably where we try and merge out. So is any non like the like so the ones that we I think identified as critical to merge were uh the refactor here of this, the component, the backend, what is no controller manifests, and the secrets.
secret stub, and then I have like 4 different V1 PRs.
Oh, and the V1s, yeah. And so yeah, V1 update PRs, secret stubs,
Controller
and
customized.
then there's probably one more like and this one's not ready, is that what you're saying? Or
Correct, yeah, because I'll want to rebase it off the secret stub. And like I said, I'd like prefer to have Guillerme another day or two to like really use it in anger to make sure we feel good about it.
and I do really want to it's not ready for remerging it, but I do really want to get the tool one done as well. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, tilt will come. Yes.
It's related to the other two a little bit, but yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then obviously the documentation about the how to deploy is critical as well. Okay, let's see. Is anything else that people need reviewed that we haven't listed there that they're blocked by? There was some work that happened with the culling design, but that hasn't been published yet. So I know Harshad's
Yeah, and Harshad's been on PTO, so I know he was going to, based on his availability, he'll get a more formal proposal put out based on the discussions we had. So that is on like his
It
update.
doesn't need to be in the first release necessarily. It's just well, maybe it does, but like not in the alpha is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Let's stop recording. Thanks everyone for coming.